Embiid, nice defense there on McDaniels, who's looking for a call. Good luck. Simmons tracking it down and somehow providing a finish. Come good soon enough, and sure enough, he did. The fake hit paid off. And behind the back to Embiid, Joel getting his first bucket of the game. Embiid has already missed a couple of threes. There's Green in for a three. Got it. So Danny Green hits the sneaking up there, trying to pass Joel's attention.
And we're live. Welcome in Half Court Heat episode 14. Oh man, listen, we got some technical difficulties in the beginning, but we look like we're rolling. It's all good. We figure we hit everybody up, go about maybe like a half hour, talk about game one, game two, game three. I don't think it's going to go any better than it could have. Get the brooms out. We're ready for the sweep tomorrow night. We're going to be live at the post game. Yes, Al, you see everybody. We're here. We're live, and Joel Embiid is ready. Andre.
Yep.
Did you expect anything less out of these first three games?
Nah, I mean, just go back to the other episodes. First of all, we're on episode 14. We putting up Danny Green numbers, okay? Episode 14. I don't expect anything. I expected this. And more importantly, I expected a sweep because tomorrow we're going for the sweep, and it's just going to be crazy. Only thing it could have got better is that we did the sweep here at home. But that's okay. We're going to go away. We're going to go to Capital One Arena. We're going to put the smack down on them. Obviously, they're going to come hungry. They're going to come like, they're going to be battling and wanting to win, and it's just not going to happen. You got our boy averaging 29.3 points a game, Joel Embiid, crushing the stats. You got Matisse Thybulle leading us in blocks and deflections and steals. This guy is a defensive team. You got Ben Simmons leading our team in rebounding and assists. Is exactly what we wanted. That's what I expected.
I agree. Al, I know you're happy. I know I've been watching you. Al's snapping off at everybody. Hey, Al, I think Al's favorite term, Andre, you said SmackDown, which brings me to my man Dwayne Johnson, The Rock. Al's always like, what does that matter? What does that matter? That's like his famous tweet back to everyone. I love it. But Al, you got to be happy, right? You got to be feeling it, don't you?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. We're going to finish them off tomorrow. And they did exactly what they were supposed to do yesterday. Exactly. It wasn't no playing around. They came right out, smacked them around, and finished them off and got some rest. And that's exactly what we needed to do. I mean, you can't ask for anything more except for the idiots that still want to look for something to have something negative to say. But I'm ignore that. And we're going to go on to this next round. So we handled business, and that's all you can't ask for anything more. Now let's get through this next game with no injuries.
Yes, that's huge. That's huge. The biggest thing is no injuries, like you said. The biggest thing, let's stay healthy. And I think one of the biggest things I want to bring up to you guys, and I know you guys have seen it as well, and I think one of the biggest advantages that we've had is we won by such big margins, and we had the game in hand, especially in game 2 and 3, not game 1, but 2 and 3, where we were allowed to have our starters basically rest an entire half of the game. Right, so they've technically only played 2 full games if you look at minutes wise, right, up to this point, which is a huge advance, especially if we could sweep. Now, Andre, we talked about one of the biggest things that you guys remember when we had Ala on, and we were talking about Shake Milton, and we were talking about George Hill. I know Al was a big George Hill guy, and we were talking about Tyrese Maxey, and I said, we all agreed that the Tyrese Maxey might be playing more minutes than Shake Milton. I think he was more Shake Milton insurance as far as George Hill we're talking about, right? So, and I think we've seen that. So, Andre, what have you seen from Shake? Does he look lost? Is he just not ready for this stage right now? Or what do you think happens going forward? Because Tyrese Maxey looks really good with the minutes he's playing.
Well, Tony, you made a good point because even with, like you said, you referenced the last show. One of the points that we made on the last show, and I believe that Ala mentioned it, is that you got to earn. This is the playoffs. You got to earn your minutes.
Yep.
You really got to earn your minutes, and you earn them in practice, and you earn them knowing the game plan, and you earn them with your hustle. Like Maxey is coming in and hustling. We talked about his speed. We talked about his agility and his athleticism. We talked about Shake Milton. And here's the thing with Shake. Shake is he's a really great player. I mean, he's a really good player. It's just something about the playoffs that he didn't unlock yet. It's not like he's not getting any minutes because he's coming off the pitch. It's not like he's not getting the opportunities. His shot's just not falling right now. It's not falling. And the advantage that the Sixers had is that we really haven't really had to use him. I mean, we really didn't. And so by the time he gets in the game, and psychologically, I don't care what nobody says, psychologically, when you see your guy go in before you, you're like, all right, I just got to be ready. So when my number's called, I'm ready, right? But then you got Maxey that's going out and like just blazing up and down the court. He's like doing what Maxey does, doing Maxey things, right? And then Shake comes in after. So honestly, I was a little surprised to see Maxey before Shake in the last game, just because of tenure and just the way he's been playing like the last 4 or 5 games of the season before the playoffs. But I'm also going back to what we were talking about, how you have to earn your minutes, and I believe Maxey earned his minutes. He earned the right to be in there, and he earned the right, and he's scoring and he's hustling.
I agree. I completely agree. And one of the reasons why I think, Andre, that he did go to Tyrese was because you're playing an up-tempo team. Russ likes to go coast to coast. He likes to run with everybody, right? So, Al, right, you know that you need to keep up that energy. And unfortunately, Shake Milton's not a ball handler. We know that, right? So, unfortunately, you'd rather have the ball in George Hill's hands or Tyrese Maxey's hands. So now you bring in Tyrese Maxey to match that energy level and that pace to watch the Wizards, right, Al?
Absolutely. I was just thinking that when Andre was talking, that in the playoffs, it's all about matchups. And why am I forgetting the guy's name on Washington that has great pace on Washington?
Ish Smith.
Ish can go. So you're matching that. So it's matchups. That doesn't mean that Shake isn't going to play more in the next series. It's just this is a better matchup for us. Y'all want to run? Let's run. We can run. We can slow it down. We can do whatever you want to do. So it's just matchups. Sometimes in certain series, just like last year in a certain series with the Lakers, Dwight Howard didn't play. And then certain series he did play. It's just matchups. Everything will work out. Shake isn't like, I see people say, don't even play Shake at all. Let's just play the kid. Calm down. Relax. It's all about matchups. It's all about the feel of the game. When you need a little speed, when you don't need a little speed, when you need more scoring, it's all about those things. It's all going to work out.
I agree. I mean, every matchup is completely different, right? We're at the playoffs. Every series is completely different. So, yeah, you can't just right away. Listen, the next series, depending on who we play, could be a slower paced game, could be a half-court game where you need to use more Shake. Who knows? You may need that outside shot. Maybe Danny Green and Seth Curry aren't shooting 40, 50%. And you need Shake to come in there and maybe pick up the slack. Who knows? But for right now, Doc definitely has this team working. And speaking of working, we mentioned him as the god about 2 months ago, but we've talked about in nauseum about Joel Embiid, that nobody in this league being able to stop the big man. And to see what he's been able to do in 29, 28 minutes worth of work. It's just absolutely phenomenal. I know you guys go back, like I go back, and a lot of people that check in go back. And you're talking about, again, we did at one time talk about the whole Shaquille O'Neal effect, to the way he dominated the paint in the playoffs. And I get it, he's not Shaq, but I'll tell you what, man, we're looking at right now a vision of a player that is probably the most unstoppable force since Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, what do you think, Andre?
No, that's you hit it. It's funny. I thought you were going to pose the question a little differently, because I was ready, locked, and loaded to say that, because there is no going into the playoffs. There's not a big man in the league that can stop. I would say Shaquille O'Neal to stop Joel Embiid. There's not a big man in the league. This guy is putting up 29 points and playing 28 minutes a game. You talk about efficiency. He's averaging 7 boards. In the last game, he had 3 steals. Like, no one even talked. Like, are you a guard? Are you a forward? Are you a center? He's just a basketball player. And what's really amazing to me about it is that you almost forget that he's 7 feet tall. Like, the moves that he makes, he's so unorthodox. It's a tough guard. He's the most dominant big man in the league. It's not even, in my opinion, it's not even close. It's not even close. I know the guys in the Lakers are going to come at me on Twitter or something. I already know that. But when they talk about Anthony Davis, but at the same time, I don't think Anthony Davis can. Yeah, if Anthony Davis can stay healthy, maybe he can be in the conversation. But at the same time, yeah. But Joel Embiid is just so dominant, man. The guy is putting up crazy numbers, and is so reminiscent of how dominant Shaq was. And if you really look at it, I haven't seen a big man like Shaq since. Like Joel Embiid since Shaq. That's it. I can't even think of anybody.
Yeah, and the crazy thing about it is Shaq was just so dominant in the paint, right? Yeah. Joel moves around all over the place, which is absolutely crazy, right? It is just to watch this kid, and I'm trying to think who it was. And I apologize, I can't remember his name, but actually no, it was Marcus Hayes. So Marcus Hayes was on with Farzetta earlier in the week, and they were asking him about Joel Embiid. And Marcus had a great story. Marcus said that he was covering, this is back when Andy Reid just got hired with Kansas City, and Marcus said the Inquirer asked him to go out there and cover the Chiefs. So Marcus was like, okay, so I'm going out there to cover the Chiefs. I noticed that Kansas Jayhawks were playing. He's like, I forget what team, could have been like Providence. I don't know. He says, so I asked my boss, get me a credential. Long story short, he gets a credential. He shows up at the Kansas Coliseum in Jayhawk land. He's like, and I'm watching the game. He's like, and all of a sudden, with about 14 minutes into the game, here comes this kid off the bench. Looks like he has no idea how to hold a basketball. Looks like he's never played before, right? And I'm saying, wow, all of a sudden, he just started dominating. He's like, long story short, he goes and he winds up at one of their practices because Bill Self lets him in, and they're showing people working with him on how to even turn with the ball. Just to think of how far this kid has come. He didn't even know what a move was. He didn't even know how to dribble into the paint. This is crazy to me when I hear these stories, Al, because we automatically assume, we talk about, Michael Jordan, you're just born with talent, right? Certain people are just born with talent. But when you hear a story about this, to see how far this kid's come in, 5 years, 6 years, it's unbelievable to see what he's doing right now.
Ridiculous. When I used to argue with people at my job that used to say, he's never going to play. It just can't get over these injuries. He's never going to play. I was like, relax. When this kid plays, he's going to dominate, and he is. He was 14 to 18. 14 to 18 last night. 14 to 18 for 30. How is that possible for a big man to not be dunking every shot and have 36 that easy. He took jump shots. He did fadeaways. He did everything in the bag, and they could not stop him. It was like men against little boys out there. It was just, I mean, I was thinking about this the other day. Actually, I was listening to somebody on WIP today that said, are we really appreciating what we have in him? I mean, we used to appreciate AI because of what size he was, but Embiid is just ridiculous. We have to appreciate having a player of this caliber.
I agree.
I think 100% we appreciate him. I think 100% we appreciate him because even in the beginning of the season when they were talking trade talks and things like that, it wasn't Joel Embiid we were talking about. We were talking about Ben Simmons and Tobias and whoever else. But it definitely wasn't Joel Embiid because he was the centerpiece. He is part of the process. Well, right now we are processing. We're 3-0 in the first round. We're looking to do this, do a four game sweep tomorrow. We're moving in, and it's going according to plan. And that's why I'm saying this guy is the most dominant big man in the league. Joel Embiid. Don't get his name twisted, okay? He's just people are going to the center to see Joel Embiid. Okay? They're going to see come on, let's just be honest. This guy's if he only played 28 minutes. If he played another 5-6 minutes, he'd be averaging 37, 38 points a game in the playoffs. He's only playing 28 minutes and he's relaxing. He's like sitting on it, with his hands behind his head, chilling. He's just waiting. He's like, Doc, you don't need to put me in. We put in work tonight. We bought our lunchbox. We putting these boys away, and we're waiting for the next game. And that's going according to plan. That's what I love about it the most is because don't deviate from the process and don't deviate from the plan. And that's exactly what they're doing. So I'm excited for this, man, because we doesn't matter who we're playing next. We will be rested.
And that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is being rested. 100%. We talked about the takeaways from game. We already knew with game one, it was a close game. Game 2 and 3, we just separated from the pack. Game 1 was the one game that if the Wizards wanted to make any kind of any kind of movement, it would have been game 1, and they almost did. But that was their best shot, right? And we still came out on top. So and if you looked at, I don't know if you guys watched, but Scott Williams just looked completely defeated at the press conference yesterday. Like what do I do? Right? It was like I tweeted a couple things about it. I mean, he's like, I can't see another player playing any better than Joel Embiid right now. He's like, how do you stop this team? They just, every time you look, somebody else is making big shots and turn around. You can't guard it. You can't, I mean, it's all coming together. It really is. Now, let's talk about Tobias Harris a little bit. And the reason why I was going to talk about Tobias Harris is because, listen, Jimmy Butler didn't have the best series in Miami. And again, I know I've always been a Jimmy guy, still a Jimmy guy.
That's an understatement.
Right? I know, but I still got to say I'm still a Jimmy Butler guy. I'm not going to flip-flop here. But what I can say, though, is Tobias Harris, Scott said it. Scott Williams said it. He said, listen, he was like, Tobias Harris is the best number 3 option in the entire NBA. And right now, I mean, you look at him as number 3 because you have Big Ben as number 2, but technically he's number 2 on this team, right? Because Ben's always facilitating. But Tobias Harris, Andre, 100% as the X factor right now on this team.
X factor. Tobias did. First of all, Tobias doing exactly what Tobias needed to do. Or any player needs to do for that. In that instance, Tobias went from 18, 19 points a game. He's averaging 25 points a game this year. 25 in the playoffs. Tobias Harris, man, he did everything he was supposed to do. And how beautiful is it that Doc get a chance to redeem himself with Tobias when Doc had him out in LA, and he brought him over here and said, you know what, we're reunited. We're at the place where we're supposed to be. And I get a chance to work with you again. And we can't discount that relationship that they had all these years. Tobias Harris I'm telling you, he is the key. And what's beautiful about it is that most teams are going in see, smart coaches will be talking about what we're talking about, but they're so focused on Joel Embiid, and they're focused on Joel Embiid, and they're focused on Ben Simmons, and Tobias is just ripping them apart. And then once Tobias is ripping them apart, then the defense starts to get infectious. You got Thibault just deflecting and blocking and stealing, blocking shots and stealing balls. But then you got Maxey and the other guys. So it starts with the number 2 guy in Tobias. When we needed a bucket, when the second unit is in, Tobias is running that second unit, I noticed. He's in there more than Ben and Joel. So he's like, you know what? We don't have a scorer right now, depending on what part of the game, but Tobias is in the game, and we know if we need a bucket, we can go to Tobias. See, that's what we were missing last year. That guy that we say, well, where do we go? Because we even mentioned it before. Where do we go when we need a bucket? Where do we go? And Tobias is the guy. So that to me, I don't care about Ben scoring 1,000,000 points. All we need is an aggressive Ben. We get an aggressive Ben, it opens the whole game up. Aggressive Ben gets Tobias 25 points a game. I mean, just think about that for a minute. Aggressive, if Ben's not aggressive, Tobias got to get it, the hard way, brother. You got to earn it.
I agree. I 100%. I completely agree. And one thing's for sure, man, watching this team, Al, I mean, Scott was right. Andre's right. We talked about aggressive Ben. That's what we need. It was never about, I'll go back 2 years ago. It's never about the shots. It's just about the finishing. It's about being the aggressiveness, right? Being the aggressor, being able to facilitate to the right people that are in order to make shots. I mean, I tell you what, you guys talk me out of it, but Danny Green, he's been showing up in the playoffs, man. I mean, 4 for 6, 5 for 8, right? All day long in that corner. I mean, he's killing you in the corner. You cannot let him get that corner shot. He just can't. He's killing it. And Seth Curry, does much more than just hits threes. Yeah. So I mean, this team, man, I haven't been this excited in a long time. Al, I'm really, really excited now. I'm taking all that negative skepticism. I'm taking it out the window right now. I'm getting excited because I think they're all coming together at the right time.
Yeah, I'm actually starting to be surprised if he misses a corner 3 now. Like, I'm like, oh, what are you doing missing that? Like, it's almost automatic in the corner. If you're swinging around the key, the top of the key, he could miss those. But the corners, he's burying those. And it's like, not even a question. The other night, he missed one, and then he came back. They got the offensive rebound. He kicked it right back to him, and he buried it. It's just automatic now. They shot 58% from the field yesterday and 51 from 3. Yeah, I don't care who we playing. We're beating anybody if we're shooting like that. Obviously, it's not going to be like that every night, but I mean, 51% from 3. And Curry, it was Tobias. It was raining threes last night. It was just ridiculous. And he had no idea. The coach had no idea what he was going to do last night. I seen him in a press conference, after game press conference, and he just was totally confused on what he should do to try to help his team even stay in the game.
Yeah, that's the crazy part. He's looking like a lost puppy, man. Like, he's like, well, what is going on here? Like, I don't know what to do. It's crazy. And I know this is way off pace, but this is the kind of press conference that you remember, when Michael Jordan was around, and you're asked guys like, Chuck Daly in Detroit saying, and he's just sitting there going like this, I don't know what to do. George Karl, I don't know what to do. Like, I mean, this is the kind of press conference we just witnessed, and it's only the first round.
And you know what? He's really honest too. Like, when Scott Brooks was here in Philly, man, I used to love talking to him. But I'm gonna tell you something. When he said he don't know what to do, he really doesn't. He really doesn't. He's not like acting like, oh, I don't know what to do just for like clickbait or something like that. This dude really doesn't know what to do. Because there were stretches in the game, because Al just threw out those stats, those 51% and 50% and all that. But think about it, we're doing that on the road. We're not even home with the fans and the crowd and everything. We did that on the road, and on top of it, there were stretches in the game where I'm like, this dude's just not going to call a timeout. He's just not going to call it. Like, come on, Scott Brooks, come on, call the timeout. Like, because I'm still a fan. Like, I want my Sixers to blow a team to the rings, but I also want to see a good basketball game, right? So I'm like, Scott, call a timeout. Once again, some of these games are going to be won with the mind of Doc Rivers.
Yep.
The coach is going to win a couple of these games, especially the second and third round. I expected them this yesterday's game is exactly what I expected. Interesting enough, I expected that all 4 games. But we know what happened in game 1. It got a little funny. Game 2, we stretched the lead out a little bit. Game 3, we blew them out. Game 4, bro, I don't even think it's going to be close. I'm telling you, I'm looking at a 15 to 20 point victory because we've already took their heart. We shook them up. Those guys know they can't stand. They can't even stay in the same game with our starters for more than 5 minutes, 6 minute stretches. So that the only time they go and they try to get back into the game is when we pull the starters out. And then and then Scott Brooks tried to do something funny while putting Beal and Westbrook in.
Right.
And at the same time. And tell them just go score. Just go score. But that can't work every game. You know, you're dealing with Doc. Doc's going to make the necessary adjustments and get back into the game and having our guys just ball out.
Yeah, I agree. And that's a segue right to, was going to ask, what do we need to do to close this series out? And Andre, you hit the nail on the head. And Dan wants to know thoughts on all bench lineup up 10. Just watch it. I hope. I honestly, I don't care because
he's going to do what he wants to do.
Here's what would be. I would care if they weren't able to hold the lead. But they're rolling with the first team of Washington. Our second team, our second unit, whatever you want to call them, are holding their own. They could not get back in the game. So that's and I love it because we talked about this earlier. Al, tell me if I'm wrong, but this is a way that you grab your young guys' confidence and your bench guys' confidence because guess what? When you get to the next round and the round of that and hopefully the NBA Finals, and when you throw a Tyrese Maxey in there, okay, and he needs the ball out for 5 minutes, against the Utah Jazz or Denver Nuggets, whoever it may be, or the Phoenix Suns, he's going to be ready now because he felt what it feels like up to that point. So I just think this is Doc wanting to give these kids confidence. What do you think?
Yeah. I see every once in a while, I'll see a writer from Daily News or something. Doc is killing me with this all bench lineup. I mean, I hear him all the time see him all the time on Twitter complaining, but we have done it all year. And we're the number 1 seed because of it. And we're going to pay dividends down the line when we need somebody to play big minutes. Maybe Ben's in foul trouble. Maybe Embiid's in foul. Maybe Tobias is in foul trouble. And somebody has to play because it just have to because we have no other choice. Everybody's going to be ready, going to know where they should be, what spot they should be, how you're going to rotate if they play it like this, off of double team, off of Embiid, where you should be in what spot you should be, the crowd noise, everything is going to come back and be a good thing. Can people just relax, let Doc do his thing, and we'll be fine.
Well, it's a great point, Al, because we watched 2 guys in Seth Curry and Tobias Harris give us a little bit of an injury scare, right? So God forbid, you're right. If something like that happens and you need to insert one of these guys into the lineup, you need to make sure they're ready. And like you said, it's worked. It's not like we've gone with this lineup and lost games. No, it's worked. So let it continue to work. Why mess with it? And the last thing I will say before we go on about the next game and get out of here, Doc, listen, I we've talked about it before, and it's just not said enough how much of a difference Doc Rivers has been to this team. Because you heard Joel say it the other day, I've never been challenged up until this point. So Doc went in there and challenged him. Not only does Joel have other stuff going on with being more mature and having a child and understand there's a lot more in life than just basketball and social media, but he's understanding what it means to be a leader. And he's learning that from guys like Dwight Howard, which we talked about. But most importantly, Doc Rivers, who's been in the league forever, a respected guy, a guy that you're not going to question, and a guy that's going to bring the best out of his players. And we're seeing it right now. And we are blessed to have this man in our presence right now, man. No matter what happens, thank God, because we went through a lot to get to this point. So, Andre, you've already talked to 15 to 20. I know you have no issue. Al, is there any way we're not winning game 4?
No. There's no way we're losing game 4.
Exactly.
No.
There's no way we're losing game 4, bro. Because here's the thing. At the end of the day, like I said, once again, it goes back to Doc. It goes back to Doc. Doc is getting these guys ready to go in there and think of this is why I know we're not losing game 4. 3 playoff games. Doc has played 11 players in all 3 playoff games.
Yes.
11,
yes.
Not 7 or 8. Because remember, people were saying, "Oh, we gotta just keep it tight and we want to just win." Doc has played 11 players in 3 playoff games. In all 3 playoff games, by the way. So I don't see anything changing. I don't see him making adjustments for what? Like you said, it's working. It's working. Like the players are the healthiest I've ever seen them.
Yep.
I was happy to see Tobias snap back. I was happy to see Seth Curry snap back with both little, like we had a scare on both of them, in the first 2 games. But come on, man, this guy, I don't see us losing at all. At all. And I know Al, I mentioned say maybe we may see one. I don't think we're going to see one. Is what did Chill Moody say on that one of those shows?
6 and 4.
6 and 4.
6 and 4.
Yes.
The 4 horsemen, baby. The 4 horsemen.
Yo, no matter what question you ask Chill Moody, the answer will be 6 and 4. That's 4 fingers, not 3.
Yep.
6 and 4. So I just want to make it very clear. You're looking at a Tobias Harris we didn't see last year. Very clear. Let's be very clear. Tobias Harris is balling, and we need him to continue to ball. And when we go up against whether it's Milwaukee or the Nets in the next round after they beat each other up, which I love, you're going to see an even bigger, crazier, badder Tobias Harris because he's not having it. He's getting on the court and he's handling his business.
Yeah, and another reason for Doc Rivers being here, bringing out the best in Tobias Harris, which we all talked about, right? So, obviously, we want to go on tonight for about a half hour, 35 minutes, which we did. We want to kind of our own little recap, get our energy going. We will be back tomorrow night for the post game, which I'm just going to call it right now the clincher, right? It's going to be the clincher post game on Memorial Day, which is going to be fantastic as always. Talk about who the next opponent should be and will be, or who could be. We'll get into all of that. But a little teaser, a little giveaway that's going to go on tomorrow night as well. So make sure everybody checks in tomorrow night to find out how you can get your very own genuine something that you'll find out tomorrow night. Okay. So the teaser. So as always, it's a Sunday night. Adam, Dan, Ross, Brian, Chris, everybody checking in as always. Appreciate it. We wanted to get, I didn't hit on all the I threw them up there so everybody could see them. But we wanted to get through this episode as much as we could. We got some things going on, but we wanted to bring some heat, some energy to you guys on a Sunday. So
before we go,
yeah, go ahead, man. Go.
Before we go, I gotta shout out my man at West Philly Tuck. I gotta shout out at West Philly Tuck. He has that BYDL CMOS. Let me tell you something. Tobias Harris been taking that CMOS, and I know they got a connection. So Tobias, man, keep taking that CMOS from West Philly Tuck, and I'm telling you, that gave you them 25 points a game. And I don't know if that's the difference from last year to this year, but I'll tell you one thing, it's doing something for you, brother. So Tobias Harris, shout out. Take it again. Take that BYBL CMOS, that elderberry. His diet changed. That boy, I'm trying to tell you. All right, that's all I got for this.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. As always, man. We talk everything. We even go with elderberry on this show tonight. What the hell,
Elderberry,
man?
baby.
Yeah, right. And look. I need as much elderberry as I can get. That's all I got to say. But as always, everybody, for myself, for Al, for Andre, give us a follow. Hit that subscribe button. Heat Ratio Sports. Hit the notification bell so you know we see all our shows on a weekly basis. But most of all, tomorrow night, probably around 9:30. Post game. Check us out right here for the giveaway. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and we'll see you tomorrow night.